Well, now on your feed at 4, there's new information this afternoon from a Texas A&M and Carnegie Mellon University research report of air quality in East Palestine.
Now, this is much anticipated independent testing that can be used for comparison purposes. 3 News investigator Marissa Sines has been following this study. She's here now with the latest. Everybody's been waiting. Anytime we get new data is good.
Right. So we talked to them 1 week ago, and they were really able to go a little bit deeper into the process. So I want to explain to you what the research groups did. They collected samples for 2 days. They drove around East Palestine in a van with their equipment, which sucked in air and generated data. They collected samples on February 21st and 22nd, and they want to be clear of 2 things. 1, this data is very complex. And 2, the data they found agrees with EPA levels that were reported, but there is one chemical, acrolein, that they said is concerning for long-term exposure. The East Palestine samples were compared to air samples taken from downtown Pittsburgh, and the researchers' findings showed acrolein levels ranging 5 times lower and 3 times higher than in Pittsburgh. The variation changed in different parts of the city. Now, according to the report, we did get a chance to speak to the researchers this morning. It was a virtual conversation, and I want to let you know that this audio you're about to hear and see will reflect that.
Obviously, there's a rural area, so you would expect the concentrations to be lower than Pittsburgh. For acrolein, really, need to continue to monitor and make sure those levels continue to go down, or that they actually are going down.
The researchers addressed that symptoms East Palestine residents are experiencing reporting can't necessarily be attributed to acrolein alone. Researchers say they're going to start focusing on what's called non-targeted data that would essentially analyze any chemicals the samples picked up that are not being measured by any kind of samples or the EPA just yet. Now, they're really raising the awareness that there could be more in the air or the soil that might be vaporizing that no one is paying attention to. But remember, the analysis takes time, and guys, it's very, very complex. So they're letting this kind of information and explaining it in increments because they're like, we haven't even gotten a chance to take a look at everything.
So they basically sampled all around East Palestine.
Yeah.
And from place to place, even within the village of East Palestine,
right,
there were different readings.
Right. That's why they had said 5 times higher and 3 times lower.
In one place it was
right,
5 times higher. In one place it was 3 times lower than what they're using as a baseline, which would be Pittsburgh.
Because they're like, that's what, air might typically be, whether in Carnegie Mellon is in the Pittsburgh area.
Sure.
So that's why they took their samples. Texas A&M, the researchers were like, well, it's much closer for Carnegie Mellon to take the samples.
Sure.
So then that's how that was kind of the measurement and the baseline.
What's interesting, 5 times higher in some areas, 3 times lower in some areas would almost aggregate back to what they're seeing in Pittsburgh, close. And the other thing that I don't know if you can help on this, but I want clarification from something that we heard in the sound clip. He said, we're going to continue to test levels to make sure that these levels are coming down. And then he said they actually are coming down.
So it depends because they did a one-time sample.
Right.
And there's so much data, they said, that it's very technical, so it was almost hard to understand in a way.
Right,
so
sure.
breaking it down to layman's terms, they plan on going back out, but they're also trying to compare what the EPA is saying. So they're bouncing off and on, but right now they're just trying to contextualize what all of this means because it's really technical. And one of the researchers said that the EPA isn't really explaining what this stuff means, which is why they wanted to kind of jump in independently.
So they're building their data set, and people will have multiple data sets with which to make decisions and base their own thoughts.
Yeah, we'll have more of this coming at 5:30 and 6.
Great stuff. Thanks, Marissa.
Yeah.
Sure.